So thanks for joining me here, everybody. I'm excited to be here and share with you some tips and tricks on what we find best practices for growing your business and things we can do at Inlight to help you grow your business, especially through these uncertain times that kind of loom over the coming year with people. So without further ado, a little bit more about myself. As mentioned, I'm Tom Watson. I've been with Inlight for just shy of a year or 2.5 years now. I'm an account manager. My territory is Central Ontario up in Canada on the other side of the border, and then some different states as well down here. So we do have some boots on the ground to give you better support in the area as well. I'm a husband and a father. That's my family there, my wife Aaliyah, and my two boys, Quinn on my shoulders and Charlie, the not-so-littler guy. I love playing sports, big hockey guy, play beer league sports, pretty much everything under the sun, and also a musician. Played in bands, had great success there all throughout growing up, and had music on national TV and radio on the other side of the border when music videos were a bigger deal. And here I am now in the lighting industry, which is extremely fun. So a quick little agenda. What we're going to cover today is, for those of you who may not have installed low voltage lighting or you're newer to it, just going over a little bit of technical high view of how it works, how the system works. We're going to talk about choosing the right type of light and understanding how quality can help you out with that. Some different technology that you should be looking for when looking at a manufacturer for landscape lighting. Some different design techniques, and then also how to sell lighting on your projects. So why lighting? With lighting, it's a new revenue stream, and it's an added skill set for yourself, for your crew. Biggest thing there, again, talking about how to grow your business, is that it is a new revenue stream if you're not currently installing lighting on your projects or selling lighting on your projects, whether you're installing or subbing it out. As you can see in the picture there, it really highlights the dramatic effects, creates a nice welcoming space, and enhances the beauty of the project that you're doing, regardless of the scale. If it's a small little patio or if it's a multi $500,000 backyard, whatever it is, the amount of money that you invest in that project, by investing a little bit more in lighting, it's going to enhance the space and make it look even better. Again, with that, coming home after work, most of the time when your clients are enjoying their outdoor spaces, it's at the end of the day, after work, coming home, they make dinner, they put the kids to bed, and then they go outside and enjoy their space until the sun goes down, unless they have landscape lighting outside, where they're able to enjoy it all night long if they choose to. So it extends the return on the investment that your clients are investing into their outdoor spaces. And lastly, this is one of the things last on the list here, but the way to get your foot in the door with lighting in a project is the safety aspect. So with that, any changes in elevation, a lot of times if it's a deck, a lot of the times getting your foot in the door with the lighting is on the stairs of the deck, because at nighttime you want to be able to see those changes in elevation. Or if it's a patio with some steps or whatever it may be, when you have those changes in elevation, you get the lighting in there, and then you have your transformer hung, your wires run to that spot already, you got your fixtures installed, and then you're able to come back for a later phase and then add to the project after that initial scope of the project, just highlighting the steps. So with that, I've got a quick question here. Raise your hand if you've installed low voltage lighting before. Awesome. So most of the people here, and then some people who haven't. So for those of you who have installed lighting before, some of this may be a bit redundant for you, but we'll go over it anyways, and then we'll dive into some other stuff. So with low voltage lighting, if you're not familiar with it, how it works, you have your transformer that's going to plug into your 120 volt outlet and step down the power to 12 volt low voltage, just like your block for your phone charger. Think of that as your landscape lighting transformer. Another big thing that you want to look out for is finishing off the ends of your cable and making sure that you have your wires separated. So on your landscape wire, your wire is going to be together like that. You want to make sure they're separate, and then have them covered either with dielectric grease and electrical tape, or even cable caps if those are available for you, just so you don't have a short in your system. The first site visit I ever did when I joined Inlight, I remember it was a beautiful project. It was all finished, and the contractor called us. He said, some of the lights aren't working on the project. So, okay, well, we'll go and we'll troubleshoot it and try and figure it out. And they had a beautiful patio. They had a pergola with nice columns, nice big pillars, and it was filled with aggregate inside, like the stone cap pillars. And they had nice coping lights underneath the coping on the pillars. And of course, those were the lights that weren't working. So this is a contractor that was installing lighting for many years, so not their first rodeo. So again, we're trying to troubleshoot and see what's going on. And we narrow it down so that the issue is somewhere in those columns, like with the connections in those columns. So of course, okay, where the connections are they at the top of the aggregate that's filling in those columns? No, the connections are at the very bottom. So we had to dig it out by hand. Everybody's arms are all cut up. And after that, we got down to the connection. And the wire wasn't separated. It was still like it is when you cut it off the roll. And it was one strand of copper coming from one wire going over to the other one that was shorting it out. And they were actually taped together. So rather than separated and taped separately, they were just cut off the roll and then taped together. System was shorting out, and a very easy thing to eliminate if you're installing it the right way off the bat. Another thing you want to do is leave slack in the line so that if you have a freeze thaw, up in Canada where I am, lots of snow and then lots of hot in the summer, so things are going to shift and move around. If you have it, your line tight like a banjo string, things can pull apart. So you want to make sure that you're leaving some slack in the line there. We call it like a bunny ear, a bunny loop, where you're leaving that slack for things to move around and shift if you need to. And then lastly, thinking about the ease of access. If you do have to come back to troubleshoot, looking for that path of least resistance for how you can run your wires, your connections. So if you do have an issue coming back, it's easier to be accessible, that you don't have to lift pavers or do a lift and relay or whatever it may be. Just thinking about that path of least resistance if you do ever have to come back. And then we'll talk about some different types of power really quickly. Again, a little technical, but for most landscape lighting systems, you're going to be looking at an AC system, and then with that, you're alternating current, so there's no polarity. So there's no red and black. There's no positive, negative. And then with direct current, that's where you have your polarity. So your black and white, your black and red. LEDs prefer DC power. So I know with our system at Inlight, we have an AC transformer, and then there's a driver inside the fixture that converts it to DC because LEDs prefer DC power. So just looking at that, making sure that with your system, if you hook it up with a DC system, the power may work, your lights may work, but there might be half dim, or it might be flashing. So keeping that in mind, making sure you're using compatible systems if you're mixing and matching. And then talking about VA, and if you're here yesterday, it had a couple of beers out, so I haven't seen any out yet, but we'll talk about some beers already here today. So for loading your capacity of your system, big question I get asked all the time is how many lights can I put on a transformer? Well, it really depends on how big is the transformer that you're using, and then what types of lights are you putting on that transformer. Traditionally, a lot of people would use watts for how you would measure that capacity. At Inlight, we use VA, and that seems to be the standard, or people moving towards VA, because with VA, you're able to load your system to 100% capacity. Or with watts, if you've installed it before and used watts, a lot of times it's you can install to 80% of whatever the load is as watts. The reason for that is here we have this beautiful beer with a little bit of head on it, and you have your apparent power, which is going to be the entire glass. So if you think about your glass as your transformer, that's the capacity of your system. That's the capacity of the glass for how much beer you can pour into that glass, or how many lights you can have on that transformer. So with that, you have your apparent power, and that takes into account the beer that you can consume, or the lights that are consuming the energy. And then when you pour that beer into the glass, you have your reactive power, or the foam that's going to come up. When you turn on your LED system, your LEDs do the same thing as the beer, and they react, and your LEDs say, I need power, I need power. So when you first turn them on, there's inrush line voltage, and then they draw more power than they need once they're on. So that's why with VA you can load it to 100%, because you know exactly at any one given time when you turn the system on and all those lights go, give me that power, that's how big of a glass you need for your beer. That's how big of a transformer you need for your fixtures. Another big question we get asked is how far can I go with my wire? If you're using 12.2, which is industry standard, you can go 80 meters or just over 250 feet. We find that's industry standard. A lot of people use 10.2 for a longer run. Maybe that's their main line, and then branching off of that with their 12.2 wire. And then if it is a smaller project, you can use 14.2. You go 40 meters or 130 feet. So industry standard 12.2. But again, looking at that different gauge of cable can take you different lengths. Then depending on what fixtures you're using, or how many VA or what the draw is on those fixtures. You may run into voltage drop if you're using too small or too fine a gauge of cable over too long a distance. We have a voltage drop calculator that we can provide you with to calculate and make sure that you're not having any issues there. But if you do have any questions about that type of stuff, we're always happy to help out. Some preventative measures you can take when you're installing your fixtures, using mechanical protection like conduit in high traffic areas. Wiping your fixtures down. They are outdoor fixtures, but some maintenance is always key in keeping them looking tip-top condition. And then seasonal adjustments too. As I mentioned, you have that freeze thaw where maybe you have a bollard that when you installed it, it was perfectly up and down, and then after that freeze thaw, maybe it's tilted a bit. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, getting into those maintenance plans. But another opportunity for revenue there as well. With recessed fixtures, that's something that InLight's known for. That's where we started as a company. That's the in and InLight is putting lights into a surface. So a couple of things with that to make sure you're installing and eliminating issues is using proper drilling techniques. So using the right size bit, the right type of bit, ideally a drill press if you are installing and drilling into a paver. It allows you, again, making sure that hole is perfectly perpendicular up and down so that if you put your light into that hole and hit it with a soft rubber mallet, if it's on a bit of an angle, you can crack the light, or if you're perfectly up and down, you're not going to have any issues there and not have any water get in and ruin the fixture. So best practice is using a drill press. It's also much quicker and efficient when you have like an assembly line, a couple guys bringing the pavers, a guy marking it, and a guy drilling. You can bang them out pretty quick. As I mentioned, a soft rubber mallet to hit the fixture into the paver, and then do not tamp over the light. You can tamp around it, but if you tamp over it, you can wreck the protective coating, you can damage the light, so just something to keep in mind as well. And then if you're sealing your pavers with any type of sealant, making sure you don't seal over top of the fixtures. You can put some tape over them to protect them. They do come with a film on them. But again, just making sure you seal around the fixture, don't seal over it, because you can cause issues with the actual fixture as well. So talking about the fixture specs and using the right type of light, that's a big thing that we try and teach through InLight and our InLight University. One thing there, when you're looking at the different types of fixtures against different manufacturers, is looking at all these different types of specs. So the first one being integrated. So at InLight, all of our fixtures are integrated, and what that means is there's no changeable lamps or drop-in lamps. So everything's integrated, and what that means is that your LED chips are designed to be in the fixture, and they're in there forever. It's a fully sealed unit that allows us to do a couple different things. The first one being we can draw the heat away from the LEDs, where heat is a premature killer of LEDs. So we can extend the life of the fixture and the life of those LEDs. And then we can also have a high IP rating. So all of our recessed fixtures, if you've seen the stuff at the booth there, any of the little paver dots, all those recessed fixtures that can go into a surface, those are all IP67. So what that means is they can be in 3 feet of water for 30 minutes without having any issues. They're not underwater lights by any means, but if you do have a torrential downpour, or you shouldn't have things pooling in a hardscape application, but if you do, you're not going to have any issues with the water being on top of those fixtures. And also with that, having a high quality material can help eliminate corrosion, and then having any issues with the actual finish of the fixtures as well. Then we'll talk about color rendering index. Just to show of hands, is anybody familiar with the term CRI, or color rendering index? See a couple hands there. For those of you who don't, CRI is how we measure sunlight. So with sunlight being a perfect 100 CRI, when you walk outside and you see a nice vibrant, up in Canada, a nice red maple tree, anywhere else, whatever color the tree is, a nice green tree, a purple lilac bush, whatever those colors are, a red Japanese maple, bringing out the most vibrant colors in the space, the natural colors in the space, is what you're trying to do with artificial light, trying to replicate that perfect 100 CRI that the sun provides. So at InLight, all of our fixtures have a CRI 90 or above, and as you can see in the picture there, when you have a CRI 90 or above, a nice vibrant green on the trees, and then as you get to a lower CRI, you're getting a little bit more washed out, grayed out tone. We're not getting that vibrant, full color that you would get with a higher CRI. So that's something that we focus on as a manufacturer. So if you're looking at manufacturers, whether InLight or elsewhere, make sure you're looking for a high CRI so you can have that very vibrant color and bring out the best in the space with the natural colors that are there. So another thing to look at is things that can help you save time and money. One of those being transformers, making sure you have a high quality transformer. If it has stuff that's included in it, such as like the astronomical timer, like our Smart Hub 150, or in different, different elements to it that can help you with your project that has everything built in. With our Smart Hub, it's a Bluetooth transformer, and it has an astronomical timer, so you don't need any additional accessories to have it run on a routine. Connect it to your phone, you download the app, and then set up your routines, and you're good to go. You can set up multiple on the same project, so if you have, you can have up to 8 of them actually on the same project. So you have a couple. If it's a large property, you can have one up on the side of the house, one in the backyard, one in the pool shed, and they'll all talk to each other. So when you're looking for a transformer, make sure you're looking for something that, again, has high quality. If you have, the more options you have, the more options you can offer your customer. A lot of people like to have the bells and whistles, and even if they don't use them, they like to say that they have them. So definitely come check that out if you want at the booth. We have some new stuff that we'll talk about as well that we just launched. This is pretty exciting. Then we have another video here. And what Eric is saying is one of our contractors out of California is he's asking Google to turn on his lights and to change the color. So we just launched this a couple weeks ago at a trade show up in Canada. So if you want to come check it out again at the booth, some very exciting stuff that we have that's going to be coming out Q1, where you can have that automation tied into your Google Home, Alexa, Apple HomeKit. So come check out that stuff at the booth with myself and Ashley, and we can walk you through that and what that looks like. On our transformers as well, talk about the ease of installation. It's a speaker, it's like a speaker system. It's called the Easy Connect Quick Closure System. You flip it up, strip your wires, twist them, pop them in, and then snap it back down, and you're good to go. So there's no terminals or wire nuts or anything like that. It's very easy to install. And actually, on our system, the only time you need to strip a wire is to put it into the transformer. So on a Smart Hub, that's 6 wires total. So it's really cutting down that time, and I'll touch on why that's the only part that you need to strip. So we have a proprietary connector called the Easy Lock at Inlight. If you want to check it out, it's on the table at the booth again. There's a lot of, people have their own proprietary connectors, and even if you're not using that, using, again, like I mentioned, waterproof connections, silicone filled barrettes, or whatever it may be. At Inlight, we have the Easy Lock, and you're talking about, saving time, making more money on your projects. This is where that's going to come into play with the Easy Lock. So what you do is you take your cable, and you twist off the cap off the Easy Lock. You put your cable guide on top of your wire. Inside the Easy Lock, there's 6 metal teeth, 3 for either side of the wire. And then when you tighten it down, they're going to pierce the jacket of the cable, and then that's going to give you your connection, so you get electricity coming through. There's a silicone proprietary gel that's inside that's going to come up and seal the connection around those teeth. So again, no moisture is going to get into your line to compromise the integrity of the cable or your connection. You're good to go there. On the mini connector on the other end of it, there's a built-in O-ring, so it's a direct burial connector, and it makes, it cuts down your install time by at least 60%, so that you're able to install more lights faster, get on the next project faster, and at that point, you're making more money. Here's a little video so you can see how quick it is to install. So at that point, plug in your fixture, and then you're on to the next fixture. So talking about designing and the basics of that, again, for those of you who may be new to lighting, the biggest thing and the most basic you can get with lighting is creating layers and using layers to level up your design and your lighting plan to make your project look even better. So with layers, what you're doing is combining multiple lighting effects, multiple fixtures to add layers to the space. So if I'm looking at the back there, we have maybe some lights, some path lights here, some wall lights on the side, and what you're doing, like you see in the picture, is you have a big dramatic shadow on the back. You have that focal point at the back. You have the trees lit up there. You have lighting down on the side coming over the path, and you have some garden lights. You have the tree lights. So you'll see all these different layers in that picture, where if there was no tree lights here, that's dark, and then now you're limited to just this part. So now when you're walking through that space, your eyes are kind of staying here, and there's not, when you bring that height into the landscape, your eyes, it makes the space look much larger. So when you're talking about layers, you want to make sure that you're using layers front to back, but also from the ground up, and heightening the space as well, because that's where you really get that dramatic effect of increasing the height of the project. for this video here. So again, here's no light, and then that's everything. This is with a smart hub, so 3 different zones, and you can see from start to finish, adding those different layers of light and what that does to the space. So there's no light, then adding some recessed fixtures for a little artistic effect, some garden lights, and then adding in the fence lighting as well. So you can see there, as you add more layers to the project, you're getting a much more beautiful space, and then not only artistic light but also functional light as well. So when you're designing, there's 4 things to think about. The first one you want to look at is the actual design itself. What are the viewing angles? When you walk into the space, ask the homeowner, how are they using the space? Where are they hanging out for the most part? Is there a patio seating area? Where are they looking? Is there a fire pit? If they're inside the house, don't just think about outside, think about inside. Is there a window that they look out while they're washing the dishes or while they're having dinner or the breakfast nook? Whatever it is, if you can find that point where it's either that viewing angle that's going to make the most sense for you to highlight, or it's one where it looks amazing from outside and it looks amazing from inside, so that they can get that 2-for-1 factor as well. So with that, you also want to look at accents. What unique elements from the space that you can accent? Is there a statue that you can uplight? Whatever it is there a nice tree? My favorite thing to do when I'm helping a contractor on a project is asking the homeowner, what's your favorite part about your space? Everyone's going to have a favorite part, whether it is that tree, that statue, maybe it is the seating area, whatever it is, that's going to be your accent space, and then you kind of design around that. Using dark versus light. So, with lighting, when you're painting with lighting, you get 2 things. You get light and you get dark. So you walk down the street, in the middle of the day, you have a shadow. So with lighting, you get the same thing. When you light something up, you also get those shadows in between. So if you look in the number 3 there, you get those diamonds in between. So you have those up-down lights where you're getting that light going up and coming down, and then beside that, you have your shadow. So when you're using lighting, don't just think about the light that you're putting into the space, think about the shadows. If you can create movement with the shadows, it's going to bring the space alive and really bring the project to the next level, which comes to number 4, where anytime you can highlight movement, whether it is shadows or if it's a water feature, anytime you have that movement, again, it just elevates the project to the next level. So for a couple of different ways that you can add lighting into the project, the first thing you're going to do, again, talking about bringing that height into the project, is looking for any trees that you can uplight or put downlight in to provide a moonlight effect. Again, that's going to create a very, lots of height in the project. And what it does as well, when you walk outside, whether it's the moon or the sun, everybody's used to the light source being from above and coming down. Where when you reverse that norm and you uplight a tree, your mind goes, oh, that's different. But it creates that magic in the space as well. So look for those trees that you can highlight. And then look for that practical light as well. I mentioned a lot of times getting the light on the stairs or changes in elevation is where you're going to get your foot in the door with lighting into the project. So look for that practical light and then add that artistic light to enhance the space as well. Again, looking for focal points. You can see in this one here, you have the Starry Night pattern on the back fence. So again, if you can find that focal point to focus on in the back and then add those layers of light, from front to back, from side to side, that's going to elevate the project. And don't just look at one type of light, mix it up, because when you use different effects, like here we have, recessed fixtures in the back fence, you have recessed fixtures on the steps, some undercap lights, some uplighting on the trees, some path lighting. So we're using all different types of fixtures, different types of lighting effects, and making a nice cohesive space, and not just being a one-trick pony with one type of light throughout the project. A couple mistakes that you can easily make, but you also easily avoid, is, like I mentioned, using one type of lighting throughout the space, or too much light. You don't want it to be lit up like a baseball field or a football field. You want to use artistic light where you can, just enhance the space with light and not have it blown out with light. So you want to be careful that you're not using too much light in the space. Another thing is having the light shine in your eyes, whether it is, too bright of a light in that patio area, or if it's too bright of a light in the stair risers, or also if you're able to see, an uplight on a tree, and you're not having that light source hid with a shield like one of our accessories, or a hooded uplight. You want to make sure that you're just seeing that light effect if you can, without seeing the glare of the fixture. So that's something to keep in mind. and something when you come back for night focusing on your projects, which you should be doing. If you aren't, I highly recommend it. Coming back at nighttime and adjusting those angles of those fixtures so that you're not running into those issues. Mixing color temperature, as a general rule, you don't want to mix color temperature. I have seen it done, and I mean, depending on what you're doing, if you want to have a cooler color temperature on like a blue spruce or something like that, you can definitely do it. As a general rule, if you have a drastic mix of color, you're going to see that side by side. So something to try and avoid if you can. Hotspots, so if you have your fixture too close to an element or too bright of a fixture, too powerful of a fixture, too close to it as well, or even further away, you can have those hot spots. And with the hot spots, you're having a white source of light on whatever element it is. So you want to make sure that you're using the right fixture at the right angle for the right application, so that you're not having those hot spots. You're having a nice, even, cohesive kind of light uplighting or enhancing whatever space it is. And then with dark spots, I mentioned with light you get dark. So with the dark spots, you don't want to have a dark spot that you can think that Freddy Krueger's hiding in the bushes while you're walking down the pathway, or a raccoon's going to jump out at you. So you can use dark as as your friend to hide pool equipment if you'd like, or different things like that where you want to hide things. But also just think about that safety element, and when you're walking around looking through the space, you want to try and eliminate just random dark spots throughout the project. So now we'll talk about selling and how to help close your projects, and some different objections that you're going to come up against with your projects when you're trying to sell lighting on your projects. So here's some that when I'm on site with a professional helping them out with deals, this is what I find the most common objections that you're going to see. Timing. So I don't know, I got too much going on. It's not really something I can do right now, is the homeowner saying. Or I don't really have the money to do it right now. Maybe we can do it next year. With the cost, again, kind of doubling down on that. That's the most common that I see. When the lighting is on a spec'd on a project, it's usually the first thing to get cut, the last thing to get added on, and it's always the last thing to get installed as well for the most part. So the biggest thing there, the first one to get cut, because a lot of times the homeowner isn't educated on the value that lighting can bring to the project. Again, talking about that return on investment that they're going to get by investing in lighting into their project. A lack of understanding of that value, again, really doubling down on the value of what lighting is going to bring to the project, and the return on the investment. And then you really need to educate them on why you need it. I'll show you some pictures here, and it'll help you. I'll give you a couple examples of that. And then when they say, I need to think about it, I got to talk to my husband. What do you need to think about? What do you need to talk to your husband about? Is there anything I can help you with now? So with these objections, you need to isolate them and talk through with the homeowner and educate them on whatever it is that they're looking to not put the lighting in. So the first thing when you're overcoming those objections is stop at that objection, and then keep the sales process there. So if they say, it's not really in the budget, if you keep talking and going on to the next part of your sales process, you've already lost the customer, and they're not going to, you're not going to be able to convert them or close that deal until you come back to that objection. So stop the sales process there, isolate the objection, and then once you've overcome that objection and explained and educated them on why, whatever it is, if it's the money or the budget, then maybe it's, okay, well, we don't have to do the whole project, but if we do the stairs, so you have that safety element. Again, then on your side of things, you have the transformer hung, all the hard work's done. You can add on later and do a phase 2, phase 3, which we'll talk about. When they have an objection, repeat the objection, and then that way they know, mentally, that you're on board with them. You understand what they're saying, and then you're on their side, kind of walking them through why, rather than kind of being combative with them about it. And then when you're overcoming that objection, use things like, you always hear, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use things that you've heard while you're listening to your customer. You mentioned that quality is important to you. With a high quality product, you're not going to have to come back and, replace your fixtures every couple of years. You're going to have this, how long? I was chatting with one of the customers we met today and talk about how long are you going to be in your home for? Oh, this is our forever home. Okay, well, then you should be investing in a high quality fixture, high quality system, so that you're not calling me back in 4 years to replace everything again. So that's where you have that value. And then you're repeating back kind of stuff that they've mentioned to you, so that you can overcome those objections. And then not every customer is going to be the customer. You're not going to win every customer over, close every deal. So don't be afraid to unqualify or to lose a deal if it's not the right fit for your business. So to help with closing the sale, there's a couple strong words. These are words I like to use all the time. Definitely recommend putting them into your sales process. Investment. I never use the word budget. If I'm talking with a homeowner, I don't ask, what's your budget for lighting? I said, how much are you looking to invest in lighting in your outdoor space? Very small change in word, but the perception, budget, you think of budget as a bad thing. Usually people have a budget, you save your money and you're budgeting for something, you save your money, you spend it and it's gone. An investment, you're saving your money, you're spending it and you're investing it in something and you're getting something back in return. And that's what lighting is in a space. So if you're using budget, stop right now and then start using investment in your sales process. Together, when you're talking about the homeowner, we're going to build this space together. We're going to make it look amazing together. It's a very strong word. Going to help you turn this outdoor oasis and make it look even better at nighttime. We're going to do that together. Can you imagine? Those are some of my favorite words. My VP, Rob, says that one all the time. And with that, when you're talking about the homeowner, can you imagine being out here, sitting out here with your husband or your wife, having a glass of wine? Can you imagine your kids running around, throwing the football back and forth, at 10 o'clock at night with a nice backdrop of your trees uplit in the space? Can you imagine? Try that one. It'll change your life as well. Achieve. So we're going to achieve this together. You're going to invest into this, in this outdoor space, into your lighting, and then with that investment, you're going to achieve having the most beautiful, backyard on the street. And then a partnership as well. Kind of goes hand in hand with working together. But you want to create that trust and that rapport with your customer because, even though they may only be your customer one time, chances are they're going to get you to come back to install more lights for a later phase. If you think I'm crazy, you'll see they'll call you again. And then they're also going to refer you to their neighbors as well and their friends. And, birds of a feather flock together. So that becomes your reference network of getting more projects. So if you find the right people and the right customers and qualify them properly, you're able to get more customers and free customers at that point because you're not spending any money marketing to these people. So, you talk about, tough times ahead. Everybody likes free stuff. I like free stuff. I'm sure a lot of you like free stuff. So if you want, would you like to have free customers? Like that'd be pretty cool, right? Not have to pay to find customers. So if you treat your customers right and find the right customers, you're able to get those free customers coming back from them. With budget, I touched on this a little bit. You can always add on later. So don't try and stretch the amount of money that they're looking to put in lighting too thin over the space. It's going to make the space look lackluster. So focus on one area, make it look really, really well. And chances are, and I've seen it time and time again, that if they didn't have the money initially, once you do that one spot really, really well, they're going to call you back and say, you know what, let's just do the rest of it too. It looks amazing. So do one area really, really well. Don't try and spread it too thin over the space. And then again, I touched on this, but explain that investment, explain the return on investment that they're going to be investing into their space and make them understand. And there's some sales tools that we have to be able to do that as well. So be the hero. Don't be, the sleazy salesperson that comes in, sells a job, and then installs it and see you later. Be their friend, build that rapport. I touched on this again, but this is how you're going to get those leads from your customers, and they're going to be the leads that you want to get. So with that, you want to have a good partnership with your customer, good relationship. A lot of times they'll call you back. If you do a maintenance program, you'll see them regularly, and they'll say, hey, by the way, I got this other friend that was over the other night, and they saw the lights, and they really loved it. I think you should get in touch with them. Boom, free lead, and then you go after that. Don't be afraid to charge for what you're worth. I ran a pricing session in Inlight University last year, and one of the contractors that was there was charging $20 a light to install the light. And then everybody was flabbergasted in the session, and he's like, "Well, I guess I got to reevaluate, what I'm doing." And then even other guys that have been installing lights for years, were hesitant to charge for what they're worth. Like you're a professional in your craft. If you're not a professional with landscape lighting, we can help you become one. But know your worth and don't undervalue yourself is a big thing, especially going into the years ahead here. I touched on it again, building that trust and rapport. That's huge with your customer base. And then phase 2, phase 3, I'm going to show the next picture here. And with this one, so this was the first lighting project I ever did when I joined Inlight, working with a high-end decking professional up just north of Toronto. And we did, for initial scope of the project, we did lighting for the deck. And then, I did some designs for stuff outside of that, but with the homeowners, investment that they're looking to make, it was just the decking that they were looking to have the lighting in. So with that, you can see some stuff there, like some step lighting. They had some wall lighting as well, so just the step lighting and some wall stuff, and that was it. So there was no lighting in the in the trees or in the gardens or anything like that. So the deck looked amazing, but they have these beautiful height all the way around surrounding their deck, and they have a hot tub on the other side of it. But it's just everything's limited to just that, the deck there. So that was two years ago. Last year, the professional called me. He's like, "Hey man, doing a photo shoot. Do you have any sample fixtures you can bring by to throw in the garden so the pictures look better?" So I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." So I went back and we put some fixtures in. I put some trees, put some garden lights in, and then I called him the next day and said, "Hey buddy, how'd the photo shoot go?" "Oh, it was amazing. Turned out awesome." And the homeowners want to buy all the stuff that you put in there for the pictures. So they ended up buying all the adding on. Again, as I mentioned, maybe that initial phase one, they didn't have the the dollars to invest in the lighting, but once they saw how good it could look and the potential that their space had, they did it within a couple hours. So that just goes to show having that demo, which I'll touch on, is key in not only explaining the investment, but letting them see it. Because a lot of times, you show a light fixture, oh, here's a light I'm going to put, uplighting your tree. They'll be like, okay, like that looks cool. But they can't connect the dots of what that light's going to do for their space. So with that, we have some sales tools, and I'll show you, how we can help you with that as well. Some other things to think about for pricing add-ons is core drilling. So, when you're pricing out your projects, depending how you're doing it, when you're drilling, that's taking you more time than putting a spotlight in the ground. So make sure that you're charging for your time, and being fair to yourself and fair to your customer, but making sure that if it is taking you longer to install a fixture, charge for that. That's your time, and that's where you're going to make sure that you're profitable as you go forward. With different accessories, so making sure that you're using the right accessories. On our fixtures, we have different accessories available, like our shield and our kill flash, things that can help hide that light source depending on what you're trying to do, or other things to help with your cable management, like a CC2 connector, splitters, extensions, things that help you get the job done easier, quicker, more efficient, and in a more professional way. That also cut down on time and help you save time, and as you all know, time is money. And then lastly, a maintenance plan. How many people here do maintenance plans for lighting? Nobody? Awesome. What about for grass? If you have grass crews or whatever it is, or even hardscapes, anybody do maintenance plans for anything in their business? A couple of hands there. So there's your recurring revenue, right? So when you talk about lighting, a lot of people go, "Oh, I got to do maintenance on lighting for?" You plug it in, it turns on, and it works. But it gives you that opportunity to be in front of your customer again. After they've hung out with all their other friends and made new friends. Maybe they bought a cottage since the last time you installed their system, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, we just bought a place, and we want to do it here too." So having that maintenance plan, even if it's an annual, just coming in after the colder months, making sure again all the path lights are upright. If things have grown in for trees or shrubs or whatever the flowers are, if things are overgrown the fixture, you're going to have those hot spots. So making sure again you maybe have to come back and adjust the fixtures, or get in and prune. Whether you can do that yourself or you have to sub that out. Making sure that the lights are looking the best and the elements in the space are looking the best that they can. But having that maintenance plan, whatever it is, if it's, you can tie it in if you're doing hardscapes, you come back, do like a power wash or a seal, or then doing that lighting plan as well for the maintenance plan. It gets you in front of your customers again and gives you that opportunity for more revenue. Again, with someone who, at that point, they're paying you to find new business, because chances are, again, they're going to mention or give you a bit of a lead to someone else. And if not, you still have that opportunity for that recurring revenue of just the maintenance plan itself. Do you have a question there, or just stretching? Yeah, for sure. So on the maintenance plan, it'd be different things you can do, whether it's like double checking the connections, adjusting angles, and it can be all different types of things, making sure the fixtures aren't falling over. The biggest thing is just making sure that you're coming back, even rinsing them off, or giving them a little rub down if it's like a hard water area. Just keeping them and making sure they're in the best working order, even if it's a quick little look around. Maybe if something got you had an issue. I know with our fixtures we have a very low failure rate, but maybe the homeowner didn't notice that a light is out or something like that. So it just gives you an opportunity to come back. It doesn't have to be a 3-hour kind of walk around, but just a quick there and around. You set them up for the lighting jobs that you did last year. Go back on a day and go stop, boom, 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 knock them all off. And again, just gives you that opportunity to look at any issues that might be in the space, and just make sure everything is the way perfect that you would want it, the way it was when you left after you installed it initially. So for the professional process that I find works the best for selling is going on site, doing that site survey, meeting with the client, looking at what their initial scope of the project is, what their needs are, and again, asking them, what's your favorite part about your property? What's your favorite part about your backyard, your front yard? What's your favorite tree? What's your favorite element? And then again, making sure you focus on that. Write it down, make a little star, or take a picture of it, so that so when you are explaining how you're going to do the lighting plan, you're touching, again, repeating that back to them. Oh yeah, you mentioned that this tree was your favorite. We'll uplight this, all the way around, and it's going to really set things off. So to do that, you can sketch things out by hand. You can do I've seen stuff drawn on the back of a napkin, up to a 3D render. So it doesn't have to be crazy. It just has to be something that the homeowner or the client can understand what you're trying to achieve with their space. With the sample presentation, so whether you're using sales tools that your manufacturer provides you with, we have a couple different sales tools that I'll touch on, or if you have just samples that you can show them, that goes a long way in allowing the customer to see and understand the value and the quality of the fixtures that you're going to be installing into their space. From there, you're going to have your proposal, with your quote, your design, and then at that point, you're bringing your value and your experience to the project, and then letting them see everything laid out so they can see your vision. And then when it comes time to close, the biggest thing is creating that emotional connection. I find with that, having, doing like a nighttime demo, using those strong words relating to how they're going to use the space. Make sure you ask them, how do you plan on using your space when the project's done? Well, we plan on, having dinner outside all the time. So whatever they're planning on doing, that's what you're going to repeat back to them as the reason why they want to do it. So it's going to help you create that emotional connection. And then, as we'll talk about the magical experience that lighting brings to the space and the return on investment. And a pro tip as well, don't be afraid to charge for your consultations. For those initial site visits, a lot of times people like to pre-qualify on the phone, make sure you think they're a right fit on the phone, and then, by the way, I'm going to charge to come out for the site visit. And then once you go ahead with the project with an assumption close, because you're not saying if you go ahead with the project, when you go ahead with the project, because they will, then we'll credit you back your consultation fee. But again, it helps you weed out the tire kicker, so you're not wasting your time and making sure that you're working with the right people. With your proposal, a couple of different ways to do it. With it, it's your proper quote, kind of outlining the scope of the project, and then you're including your lighting plan so they can see, where you're looking at adding lighting into the space. And it helps them visualize your, what you're looking to do to the space and your plans for it. We find anytime we help with a lighting plan, we present a lighting plan to a customer with a professional, 95% close rate, because it helps them understand what you're doing. If you say, oh yeah, I'm going to put a spotlight here, a spotlight there, they don't know, a lot of people aren't going to understand what that means. So, draw it out, map it out, and then it's going to help, close more deals for you. It's also going to protect your time invested by, if you are charging for your designs or charging for that consultation, where you're not just doing it and then not getting the deal. At least at the end of the day, if they don't go ahead with you, at least you have your time that you've spent on it covered. A lot of times it's a total package price, so some people choose to do like a total package price with everything. Here's all the fixtures installed, or some people like to have it line itemed out. If you do it as a total package price, it helps you protect your ideas instead of them kind of shopping around to other professionals in the area. And then also, if you're not doing it already, make lighting standard on all your proposals for all your projects, whatever it is. If you're coming in doing like plantings, add lighting on that. If you're doing a hardscape job, add lighting. If you're doing a decking, whatever it is, add lighting to at least to your presentation of the initial scope of the project. Because a lot of times it's the afterthought, and they don't think about it till after. Maybe it's too late. It's going to be harder. It's going to cost more to install because now the pavers are down already. So add it onto all your presentations, all your quotes, and get the client thinking about it earlier in the sales process rather than at the end when everything's done and like, oh, we should have done that. We should have added lighting into its space. So when you're closing the sale, can you imagine? That's, the strong words, again, I use them all the time, and it'll go a long way in your sales process. Try it out on your next site visit consultation. Try out the can you imagine, and then let me know shoot me a DM on Instagram and let me know how it goes, because chances are it's going to go amazing. So we'll talk about sales tools a little bit, and I know we're getting up against it here for time. So the first thing is having a portfolio. So how many people here have a website or an Instagram page? Awesome. So there's a portfolio. So it doesn't have to be a booklet. You have a digital portfolio of your projects. Big thing is showing it like without lighting and with lighting, and making sure that you're posting pictures of your projects with lighting in it, because that becomes the norm now. So when someone looks on your website and say, oh yeah, I looked on your website, your projects look amazing, and they say, I want exactly this project there that you did last week, or on your Instagram they saw it, that means that they want the hardscape, they want the planning, they want the lighting, they want the whole package, and that becomes the new norm for you in your projects. So definitely make sure that you're doing before and after pictures, and also daytime and nighttime, because it makes a huge difference on allowing, and again, educating the customer on what lighting can do to their space. Awesome. And then again, I already asked that one ahead of time, but making sure that you have that portfolio, and it doesn't have to be crazy. Cell phone picture. Hands up if you got a cell phone in your pocket. Probably everybody, maybe a couple pagers still kicking around. But if you have a cell phone, that's all you need. You don't need a marketing department. You're just going to take a picture on your cell phone and post it up. So it doesn't take much. So we have a demo kit called the Inspire Case. This is great for your table meetings. It has core products in it. Not every product that we manufacture, but the core products are recessed fixtures, which are very popular, and then everything else, opening up the customer's eyes to the different types of lighting. So undercap lighting, spotlights, wall lights, garden lights, and bollards, in addition to those recessed fixtures. So if they want, say they call you and they're looking for maybe just lighting in the deck or lighting in the patio, those recessed fixtures, they're not even thinking about the rest of the space. But what you do as a professional is come in, look at their initial scope of the project, and then also suggest how you can make the space look even better. So whether you're coming in for that patio or that deck, whatever it is, when you're doing lighting, you want to make more money on your projects, look outside of the initial scope of the project and add lighting. If you're building a brand new patio and they want lights in that, no problem. And then say, by the way, if we added lighting, for your maple trees in the back, or for the evergreens, uplighting those, it's going to make things look even better. And then if it's not with the Inspire Case, we have other sales tools where you can set up a sample, like an overnight demo, where they're able to see that and see what the value can bring to them there. So for those of you who, it doesn't have to be with lighting even, but if you sell like hardscapes or decking, do you use a sample kit when you're on site for your consultations? Yeah, amazing. So having that, again, for lighting, it's going to help them see what lighting can do and understand better what the lighting effects are going to be with the different products. We also have an experience kit. So this is when you're setting up your nighttime demo, whether it's just for the night, setting it up for a bit. A lot of contractors will set this up, leave it overnight, and then when they come back to get it the next day, just like I mentioned in that project that I added those extra lights in for the photos, homeowner said, can I just buy the lights that you set up for the demo? It's like, well, it's my demo kit, but let's get a plan together for you, and we get you dialed in. So again, that's going to create that emotional attachment, because you can, especially if it's an existing project where maybe it's not new construction, everything's already there, but setting up that demo in their space, highlighting the elements that are already there, they're not having to envision what it can look like. They're seeing what it will look like when they go ahead with the lighting on the project. So, definitely the strongest way to create that emotional attachment by actually showing them lighting in their space. Does anybody here offer nighttime demos for lighting? A couple hands, awesome. Again, it's pretty hard to show lighting during the day. So if you're not, try it out. You don't have to do it on every customer, but try it out on one and see how it goes. If you're having a hard time, and chances are they'll come around and pull the trigger on it for you. So we offer a 3D design service at Inlight, and we also offer 2D design. We can help out with designs. And is anybody selling lighting without offering any designs at all currently? A couple people. Oh, awesome. So those are nice, easy ones. You don't have to do any designing. Sometimes you need to get those designs going. We can help out with that. Always happy to get involved. And that's something that we offer. So if you're interested in, getting helped with whether it's 2D, 3D, or even just some product suggestions, we're always available to help out with that type of stuff as well. Does anybody offer 3D design services and showing lighting in those? Yeah, a couple of hands there. Again, it's probably the next best thing aside from adding lighting into their space for those nighttime demos is creating those 3D renders and having lighting in it so they can, again, get that emotional connection so they can see what their space can look like, with that new project in there and then with the lighting as well. So lastly, a couple of things to look for when you're looking for a manufacturer for lighting is you look for a partner that's willing to invest in you and provide you with next level support, and then also educational opportunities and resources. So obviously, especially a lot of people are newer to lighting here. It's not rocket science, but it is a science and it is an art. So if you're looking for a manufacturer to help you, you want to make sure that they're giving you that support that you need. So definitely look for these things when you're looking for a manufacturer. And selfish plug, Inlight is one of those manufacturers that does that. We have online training, free 1-hour sessions that we just started this week actually called Inlight University. So you have 11 different sessions, not just on Inlight, but lighting in general. So you have, of course, we have like our product session, but we also have designing with lighting effects, how to install lighting. So everything, fully encompassing of lighting as a, as a service, and then other things as well, like how to grow your business with social media marketing. So, at Inlight, we focus on the education. It's a core focus of ours, and happy to help everybody out with that. So there's some contact info there for myself and for Inlight. If you're on Instagram, Inlight_Tom is my handle. I'm on there posting stuff all the time, and I love chatting and seeing what everybody's doing. So I'd love to connect with you on there. If you scan the QR code, that'll take you to my my page where you can find all my different stuff for LinkedIn and all that. If you're looking for our digital catalog, it's at the bottom there as well. That's that QR code. And then you also have our corporate social media handles and everything as well. My email's up there as well. So if you have any questions about anything we talked about, feel free to reach out. Happy to chat with you guys some more. And then if you want to reach out that way or come over to the booth, we're just down on the end. And just look for the lights all over the table, and we'll be there. And appreciate everybody for coming out.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks.